So those of us who've suffered with skin health issues unequivocally know that flare-ups freaking suck. Eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, and rosacea flare-ups suck! That's why in today's video, I'm going to share with you guys exactly what to do when you're having a flare-up from eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, rosacea, or any other autoimmune or immune-related skin health issue. Heal and recover faster. Way less frequent flare-ups. More manageable and easier flare-ups. Eventually, no flare-ups at all. And best of all, this flare-up protocol helps heal the root issue of your skin health issues, which is awesome.
So the place we're going to start today is, why do flare-ups happen in the first place? So a flare-up is basically just inflammation, which is the body's natural response to something wrong that's happening inside of it. Now, it's not just limited to skin disease. Inflammation happens when you get injured or have too much stress. The immune system gets overloaded with things that trigger inflammation, and these things can be different for different individuals. And I think that's a really important thing to take note of, is that everyone's inflammatory triggers are a little bit different. All right. With that said, the root issue is a dysfunctional autonomic nervous system and the immune system attacking itself. That's the root issue of rosacea, eczema, dermatitis, and psoriasis. The root issue is further exacerbated when you have an unhealthy gut microbiome and the microbiome issues that surround that. So sometimes you'll eat a trigger food. You might really have bad sleep for a week or two. You might have lots of stress from external factors or anything that affects the gut lining and digestion system directly or indirectly. All of this can result in your eczema, psoriasis, rosacea getting more itchy, flaky, and even spread to new areas. Even when the body is in healing and getting healthier every day, you can experience flare-ups because the filtration organs and the lymphatic system are purging out toxins and autophagy into overdrive. And autophagy is the body's natural cellular level cleansing and detoxification. It's actually cellular death. Your cells die, they create new ones, and hopefully they're healthy. A little note on this. During my healing process, I was having flare-ups up until month 11, and they stopped when the root issue healed. Along the way, the flare-ups got easier and easier to manage, and that's kind of where these protocols originated from and why I'm sharing this with you. So I've always told my clients, you do not want to over-focus on the symptoms because of what I just said. However, there are a few things that we can do externally to soothe the itchy, icky, red-hot mess. Let's talk about those in a few different ways of how we can address flare-ups directly. So intermittent fasting and water fasting are both really strong tools. Before I get into the section, I do want to make sure that people have a little preface on this. You're not going to water fast your flare-ups away. You're not going to water fast your skin disease away. It's not going to happen. Water fasting and intermittent fasting is not the right and best thing for everybody. But in small doses, especially during a flare-up, it can be an effective way to knock down some inflammation and make things, just feel better. So your body is actually a miraculous self-healing mechanism. But healing takes tons of energy. So does digestion. One of the best ways we can help speed up the healing process is to not put food in our body or have a timed eating process so that the body can work on the inflammation and getting over the flare-ups. Although I don't recommend aggressive fasting long-term because your body obviously needs nutrition, and too much fasting can elicit a fight or flight response, increase cortisol, and get in the way of the healing process. The last thing you need is more stress hormones and cortisol release. So be careful with this one. You can simply do a 24-hour water fast or a 48-hour water fast for those people who may be a little bit heavier or have some weight that they want to lose. The toxins are stored and metabolized in the body fat anyway. So that's why that kind of makes sense. Water fast once a week for 2 or 3 weeks. If you are normal weight or overweight, you can do the 48-hour one. You can even incorporate intermittent fasting for the rest of the days. If you struggle with keeping on weight, you can stick to just intermittent fasting. Like I said, water fasting is simple. Water and nothing else. No food or drinks, no calories whatsoever. Intermittent fasting is when you divide your 24 hours of a day into an eating window and a fasting window. Typically 18-6 fasting eating window is done, but you can start with 14, 16-hour fasting window. Again, this is not something you need to keep doing for months and months of the rest of your lives, but fasting is one of the most effective things to do to lower inflammation acutely during a flare-up. For those of you who need more information on intermittent fasting, I do have a ton of videos on my YouTube about it. One of the easiest ways to do intermittent fasting is basically pick a time during the day. Make it 2 to 6 or 2 to 8. During that time, you can eat. The rest of the time, do not eat and just drink water. Simple method. All right. Here's a part where you guys really need to pay attention because a lot of people do not really grasp this. In order to reduce the flare-ups, you first have to already be eating healthy and in a customized diet. I explained the whole process. The video will be linked in the description box. It's an hour-long video. It's much like this one where I go over everything diet aspect related. That's a place to start. You got to be eating healthy to get over the flare-ups faster. Gut healthy foods are very important. So diet is definitely one of the number one factors for long-term healing. In addition to fasting, you can do a strict low inflammation diet for a few days or during your flare-ups that will ensure your body detoxes faster and builds up a healthy gut lining fast. You can literally do a 4-food diet. Now, again, this is not black and white. This is just an example. One that works really good is turmeric lemonade, 32 ounces a day, bone broth or meat broth for those of you who have issues with histamines or maybe think you have histamine problems. Bone broth and meat broth are not the same. Meat broth is for people who have histamine issues. Bone broth is for people that don't. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef or pasture-raised chicken, wild-caught salmon. Eat those 4 foods and you will be good to go. You can also throw in a little grass-fed butter or extra virgin olive oil to get in some healthy fats. Keep it super simple, but you can literally do a 4-food diet during this the inflammatory knockout phase of trying to get over flare-ups. These examples are the lowest inflammatory causing foods. Turmeric lemonade helps the body detox better and starts the whole digestion process and detoxification process, waking up the filtration system. Meat is extremely nutrient dense. And to be honest with you, some of you guys will be surprised by this. Red meat and pasture-raised chicken and high quality meat is the safest food for people who have skin health issues to be eating. Again, this is coming from my work with over 2,500 individuals doing skin health focused coaching for over a decade. I come from a plant-based background and I switched my game up because of how beneficial eating meat is. The body doesn't have to work a lot to digest the high quality meat, and it is packed with all the nutrients you need to fight inflammation and to heal. The key here is to stay away from cheap supermarket meats and foods. Make sure things are high quality. Grass-fed, grass-finished, organic meats are best. Poultry should be organic and pasture-raised. Cage-free is just a marketing gimmick. Keep that in mind. It does not mean anything. Pasture-raised. If you're in a country that doesn't use the label pasture-raised, you may have to check in with the food creator, the food distributor, to see if it's actually on a pasture. Be mindful of getting sufficient calories so your energy levels don't go down and you don't lose the motivation to stick to these foods. Very important. Eat enough food. We're not trying to starve ourselves. We're just trying to cut down the inflammation and the challenge of digesting food. Also, take care of your hydration. Make sure to drink plenty of good quality water. Tap water is not ideal. Drinking water out of plastic is not ideal. The best thing you can do is drink spring water and add some salt or minerals to it to make sure your electrolyte balance is on point. Number 3, and here's where you can really kind of focus your attention, is the cleansing protocols. I always advocate 3 fundamental pillars to reverse all types of skin and gut health issues. Diet, movement, and cleansing. Cleansing and detoxification are the same thing. And cleanses don't have to be complicated. When you are having a flare up, doing a couple of these cleanses will greatly reduce inflammation and you'll get over it quickly. There's also a psychological aspect to this. When you are focusing on your diet and focusing on cleansing and focusing on intermittent fasting, you're focusing on the solution rather than focusing on the symptom and all of the pain and suffering that you're going through. So that, again, is a super important point, is the mental aspect, which I'm going to get to a little later in this video. Here's the only 3 cleanses that you need. And I will go over a few other things that work well as well later, again, that are more autophagy practices. So the salt flush, the coffee enema, and the liver gallbladder flush. Water fasting is also a great cleanse. The liver flush is slightly complicated, although it's highly effective. You can do just the coffee enema and the salt flush combined with the water fasting or intermittent fasting, and you'll experience a drastic reduction in inflammation. If you're going to actually focus on 2 of these, it'd be the salt flush and coffee enemas. Generally, people can get away with picking the one that they like to do best and just focus on that. If you like salt flushes, do salt flushes. If you like coffee enemas, do coffee enemas. Salt flushes have a good ability to clean out the whole of your digestive tract and sometimes remove old plaque, mucus, and even parasites. You can do the salt flush up to 2 times in a week. These are conservative things. Obviously, I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not diagnosing anything. This is information for you guys to riff off of and make your own. 2 times per week is pretty conservative. There are people that do more. There are people that only do 1, do less. Find your flow with this thing. When flare-ups go down, obviously get back to your just normal healing routines. Here's the thing. Coffee enemas have an exfoliating effect on the insides of your colon and can be done 2 to 3 times a week. So you can kind of do those a little bit more. If you guys have questions on a cleansing routine, any of these practices, I do have videos explaining how to do all of them. Again, I will link down in the description box a full-length long-form video explaining the whole cleansing and detoxification process for healing your skin. It's very thorough. Again, this is just a flare-up guide. So it's not going to be as deep as some of the other things that I've put out. Keep this in mind, my friends. Don't overdo the cleansing. They can start to remove the good bacteria in a way, not really, but the basic thing to keep in mind is you can't cleanse and detox your way into good health. These are just simple tools to help knock inflammation out of the body and detoxify the body so that you can really just focus on that inflammation and that flare up getting out of your system as fast as possible. So cold exposure is also a type of cleanse. I would almost list it more as an autophagy practice. So let's talk about that. So number 4 is cold exposure. There's simple science behind why cold reduces inflammation. When you are in a cold water or even just outside in the snow, your blood vessels constrict and there's less blood flow to the skin surface. This directly reduces swelling, redness, and itchiness. Then what happens is when you get out of the ice or get out of the cold, your body recirculates and fresh blood rushes to the surface. Also, there's a thing called cold shock proteins, which are super anti-inflammatory. They're also free radical fighters, which means that things like the possibility of having cancer cells or little inflammation things or things that are just causing strange pains in your body, the cold shock protein literally combats those directly. You can do cold showers, but ice baths are better. If it's cold outside, you can even jump in a lake or the sea or a river or whatever. It's not just buy some ice from the supermarket and put it in a bathtub or portable plastic tub. There's many different ways to do cold exposure. If you are just going outside in the cold weather, aim for about 15 minutes. Ice baths can be 5 to 10 minutes at most. Really, you only need like 2 to 3 minutes. And if this makes you afraid, keep in mind that any type of cold exposure is better than no cold exposure. Meaning, if you're in your shower and you just do a cold blast, or if you are jumping in an ice barrel or a cold lake, and you can only do it for 30 seconds, it's still going to give your body a ton of inflammatory reduction, and it feels really good. Something that's just fun and takes away itchiness. For me, the cold was a way to supercharge my healing experience and make me feel good. Here's the thing. One thing that you can play around with is going from cold to heat. So to supercharge your cold exposure, you can do a warm to cold and repeat it as many times as you want. Take a hot shower or use a sauna for a minute, then do 1 minute of ice baths, and then repeat 3 to 5 times. It will make you feel electric. Or you can switch it up, do a cold shower and then a warm bath. An Epsom salt bath is very calming and soothing for the skin. Sea salt or dead sea salt baths work great too. And I want to highlight this is that anything that has to do with sea salt or Epsom salt baths or even the ocean, they have an effect on the body that not only mellows you out, makes you feel good. It kind of reduces the stress and the anxiety in your brain, but it's also super detoxifying. And the magnesium, it actually mellows you out. It reduces inflammation. It also is just a really cool way to pH balance your skin. If your skin gets dry after the shower or bath, you can apply coconut oil, pure aloe gel, tallow. There's all sorts of topical treatments. Make sure they're all natural. And I will say this, tallow-based moisturizers are by far the best thing I've come across in the 10 years I've been doing this, by far. And it will also help you reduce your itchiness like crazy. So movement. Here's something that people tend to avoid during flare-ups. They don't want to move the body because it hurts. But if you do all these other things and you add some movement in, the circulation is going to be very helpful. The human body is made to move, and sedentary life breeds disease. So keep that in mind. If you're having a flare-up and you just want to lay around, smoke weed, watch TV, and just do shit and feel sorry for yourself, it's going to make things 10 times worse. Now, you don't need to exercise or excessively exercise like an athlete. Just go on a walk. Go walk around a garden. Go find a park and walk around in the shade. Hit the beach. Walk on the sand. Get your feet in the ocean. Jump on a mini trampoline. Movement helps the lymph flow around the body better and speeds up detoxification majorly. This ultimately leads to flare-ups ending faster. The bipedal walking movement also moves food along the digestive tract and improves digestion, among a million other things. Walking is probably one of the healthiest healing mechanisms that humans do not get enough of on a daily basis. I would do walks religiously every single day until the inflammation goes down, and then keep doing walks for the rest of your life. It kind of sounds like a joke, but it's not. Extra points for hiking, going in the woods, or being in nature while hiking. It just reduces your stress. The natural environment is filled with antioxidants. And here's a bonus point. A lot of you know what grounding is. And for those of you who don't, it just means taking your shoes off and walking around or standing in grass, dirt, sand, something natural. It releases negative ions. It fills the body with antioxidants. It tends to slow the rhythm and the heart rate and blood pressure, lowering all and making the entire body process better. Okay. Moving on, number 6. And this one's a tough one because it's holistic. Life is stressful. Modern life is really stressful, but stress is good if it's not chronic. Like a workout is good, but long-term stress will affect your overall health and contribute to not just autoimmune diseases, but other diseases as well. As cliche as it sounds, you must not overwork. Take plenty of rest and relax more. This can mean more naps, a few days off work, staying away from dopamine triggering electronics, being around people you love, etc. Clean your surroundings. This has a positive psychological effect. I know this is a little Jordan Peterson, but honestly, if your environment is filled with clutter, your mind will be filled with clutter as well. You will be more stressed. So get up, be active, clean up your environment, make it tidy, make it clean, do your laundry, wear fresh, comfortable clothes, breathable clothing, and just have a clean, healthy environment. It will de-stress you like crazy. And again, it's something that takes you out of focusing on the symptoms and gets you into the mindset of taking action and doing something positive about what you're going through. Healing baths. So I was mentioned this earlier. You can take healing baths like salt baths, Epsom salt baths, oatmeal baths, raw milk baths, ocean dips, river dips, and lake dips. This is so next level. The water is so healing. And many of you guys avoid water because it's going to dry out my skin, or TSW, like avoid water, or no moisture therapy. Like, I'm not going to diss on it, but there are things that are in nature for a reason. Water is so soothing. It can just really make a huge difference with the itching sensations. And it can also lead to long-term health and healing because of not only the physical effects, but the psychological effects that water provides for us. Take any of these ideas and do them at least once a day. I have a bunch of Instagram reels about this, a bunch of YouTube videos about water. If you want more stuff, you can search there. YouTube is probably a better option for that. Okay, number 8. Here's what a lot of people over focus on is topical treatments. The worst part of flare-ups is the unending sensation of itchiness. Trust me, I've been there. It sucks. You just want to rip apart your skin in the hope that the itching will finally stop. Apart from soothing baths and cold exposure, you can apply certain things directly on the skin to reduce the feeling of itchiness. These are some of my favorites. Tallow. As I mentioned earlier in the video, tallow is by far the most helpful thing. And you can apply a high quality tallow, preferably made at home or in the United States. Like you can apply it like any lotion. It will be soothing, and it will help dryness, and it will help flakiness. Tallow out of all of these is probably the most healing long term. Now, castor oil is pretty bomb too. You can go so far as to do castor oil packs, which again, I have a bunch of videos showing how to do castor oil packs. This has an anti-inflammatory properties. It's great for moisturizer. It's super thick and goopy and can a lot of times reduce the swelling and puffiness and the itchiness big time. And some staples like aloe vera, it has a very soothing and cooling effect. It can kind of be drying. So if you're going to use aloe vera, you might want to use the aloe vera. And then once it's kind of starts that drying process, cover your body with tallow. Aloe vera has a cooling effect. It has an antimicrobial, antibacterial effect. People have obviously used it for sunburns forever. It's just a great natural tool. Also, direct ice. We've talked about ice baths, but there's no shame in going and getting an ice pack or a block of ice and crushing it up, putting it in a plastic bag or some type of towel, and just putting it directly onto the itchy, inflamed area. Look, there's a reason why athletes use direct ice. There's a reason why when you have a surgery, like when I had shoulder surgery, the doctor had me icing 5 times a day for 20 minutes. It directly knocks down inflammation, and it does help the healing process. Now, you notice that the topical treatments list is very small. This is kind of on purpose because topical treatments can be a double-edged sword, especially if you are using lotions, over-the-counter lotions and steroid creams. They're filled with chemicals, and some of them might feel good in the moment, but they will lead to long-term inflammation, more skin disease issues, and the flare-ups will last longer when you're using these harsh chemicals, even though they might make the symptoms slightly feel better. So if you're not going to do tallow, there is tons of stuff out there: shea butter, coconut oil, jojoba oil. But again, for me, man, guys, ladies, everybody, whatever you are out there, if you haven't tried tallow, I would seriously give it a try. The flare-up mindset, some of you are probably going to skip this section, but you really don't want to. The flare-up mindset is what's going to help you heal long term, and it's also going to be what gets you through these flare-ups and just a more healthy way. So expect flare-ups to happen, and you won't be surprised and stressed when they do. Flare-ups are part of the healing process. Most people heal in a non-linear way, and there's going to be ups and downs. That's perfectly fine. You have to use your biomarkers to know if you're on track. Again, watch the full-length video on how to heal your skin, the blueprint video that's linked in the description to know more about that. You didn't get your skin condition from 1 week of bad food and bad habits and just environmental toxins. It was months and probably years of bad habits and modern life just kicking you in the ass. So of course it's not going to take a month or just a few weeks to heal. Most people take anywhere from about 6 to 12 months to fully heal and completely reverse their skin issues. Took me a year. I have had clients who've reversed it in severe eczema in as little as 90 days, but they're outliers, and that's the exception. You don't want to expect that. For most people, it's going to be a slow, incremental changes in their lifestyle that ensure long-term success. And what's the problem with that? Do you want a quick fix that'll heal you in a week, but you are back with even worse skin health in the next month? Or do you want to have perfect skin for the rest of your life? This is a difference between healing your skin naturally and using medications to cover up the symptoms as fast as possible. A saying I like to use with my clients is, you can either heal your skin for life, or you can try to heal your skin as fast as possible and watch how fast you fail. Hate to say it, but it's true. Set realistic expectations. You are going to have flare-ups, really bad ones even, but they are not permanent. Good skin and healthy gut are permanent. Look at it from that angle. Also, when you are having a flare-up, these things are to help you get through it. This list and this flare-up protocol is not a magic bullet that you're going to do all the steps and your flare-ups are just going to go away. But what we're hoping for is incrementally each time you have a flare-up or during your flare-up, they just get easier and less harsh every single time, getting to the point where the flare-ups are actually no big deal at all. You hardly notice them. And then at some point, the flare-ups are gone and you got great health. So here's some bonus tips. Calming baths and healing baths. We talked about whenever your skin feels inflamed. Before hopping in the salt bath or even the shower, you can do dry brushing. It gently exfoliates the inflamed skin and manually moves the lymph, adding in some better detoxification. For some people, dry brushing is just too harsh. Here's a tough one, and I know most of you guys won't listen to this, but it made a huge impact for me. Stop staring at yourself in the mirror and constantly looking at how bad your skin is, especially during flare-ups. It's not helping you. Some things you have to just accept. And the more you focus on how bad the skin is by staring at yourself and judging yourself and having all this self-criticism, it's going to create more stress. Here's something to keep in mind. I took away all my mirrors during the healing process, and I got to a point where I didn't even care to look at myself. And it helped me get to a place where I literally stopped worrying about if my skin would heal or not, or what it looked like, because I was so deeply entrenched and focused on the day-to-day process of healing and the solution that things started to shift psychologically for me big time. So any way you can cut down on the self-judgment and the staring at yourself is going to be very helpful. Another thing is we tend to isolate during our flare-ups because we're embarrassed. It's perfectly natural, but don't do it. Don't isolate yourself and think that, you can do everything alone. Surround yourself with positive, uplifting people. I know all of this seems a lot to do, but we're trying to attack the flare-ups from all directions and make it go away as quickly as possible.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Leave your comments and questions down below. This is an extraordinarily important topic. Flare-ups, customizing the diet. Links for all of our resources are down in the description box, including a free flare-up guide PDF link down in the description box, the one I showed you guys in this video. So good luck, my friends. Leave your comments and questions below. Subscribe, share, all that YouTube stuff. Much love. Peace.